Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I have got game 1 of a best of 1. It's some ZvZ and it's between two pretty cool Zerg players. So up in the top left position of Accolon Waste we've got the red Zerg from Quantic. It is MaSsan. And his opponent down in the bottom right, the blue Zerg from the team XT. I don't know what that stands for, but it's Shadow. Accolon Waste, of course, a pretty cool map. I really like this map. For ZvZ is quite fun too because it's a relatively long rush distance. You know where your opponents spawn, so that still leaves some kind of cheesy fun shenanigan early aggression in the mix, but it's not crazy. Taking your natural, not too hard, but quite a wide open ramp, which means banelings can sneak through. Zergling Rumbys can come up around the side here, get into the main. All some interesting stuff like that. So in terms of things to take a good little look at, not too much going on, not too many crazy things occurring quite yet, but yeah, I'd say all in all, this is a fairly balanced map. I like it. The watchtowers as well. I think, do you remember those old versions of Accolon Waste where there was 4 watchtowers and there was 2 in the center here? So good they were taken out. I think scarce use of watchtowers. So good, because it means you can get more surprise attacks, you get a much more dynamic form of gameplay, and it also means that you can't just scout everything with 1 unit, or say like 2-3 units on the map, and know precisely what your opponent's doing pretty much whenever. Both players going for relatively similar timings on those spawning pools there. About 10 seconds sooner for MaSsan compared to Shadow, but not by enough that really throws out the build order too greatly. The work count is identical, so actually MaSsan a little ahead because he's able to keep that drone count similar, while still obviously getting his spawning pool sooner, which means his queen sooner, which means his first inject is sooner, and these knock-on effects continue, as well as the fact that his hatchery is going to be about 7 seconds quicker too. So these are all little leads, little advantages, which may not seem like much, and I might be seeming very pedantic there, but at the tip-top level of play, these seconds all add up. We can see the extractor 15 seconds sooner. It's all small advantages which compound and over the course of a game result in one player winning and one player losing. Generally speaking, lots of games which look close are because both players have stayed relatively equal on the small advantages. Games that look like a complete whitewash without, say, just one moment, like I'm excluding from this analysis things like big 2-base play or a baneling bust or something like that, where it's like that's the moment they lost because it was a bit of a build order miscalculation. But in 2 macro games where one player just seems to be on top of everything, one of the big things is they're just doing a lot of things slightly better as opposed to doing certain things a lot better. And that tends to be the real noticeable games, and it's a combination of micro, macro, and basically build orders and things like that. But MaSsan at the moment, looking quite happy. The Overlord for Shadow knows that the hatchery's trying to come down, but there's already defensive lings there, as well as the Queen coming down. The Queen won't have any trouble defending this. MaSsan just keeping some units there in case there was a bit speedling flood, but he knows he's all safe. Hasn't seen anything too much else start coming down here. Does get a spine caller though, to be on the safe side. His Zergling speed about 10 seconds sooner, but not by enough that he can push over, unless he went through a lot of speedlings very quickly. The Baneling Nest as well, coming in the main. 2 schools of thought on getting the Baneling Nest. Some people get it at the natural. Accolon Waste is the greatest one, but you can't really sim city too much with a Baneling Nest. The other advantage of getting it in the main is that it's less likely to get scouted, which could add in an element of surprise. But all in all, these two going for relatively similar builds. There is a Spine Crawler coming down here. The Spine Crawler for Shadow, it appears, did get cancelled, so not going to be able to do too much there. But yeah, I'd say this is all looking fairly nice, fairly lovely. Good time, chaps, and everyone going to be going about their normal business. Shadow actually ahead slightly in the drone count, and it's going to continue to stay that way, which raises the question, if MaSsan's slightly down in the drone count, where is all of his money going? And the answer to that is, well, there isn't a direct response to that, because MaSsan, he's just slowly leveling out this work account. He's down a bit in supply, maybe. But his money isn't banked up too high either, so something to keep an eye out for. A couple of defensive banelings in place here, as well as a few Zerglings out on the field for MaSsan at the moment. He does have less Zerglings, but he might get a baneling, doesn't get it. Nearly was a good opportunity, but luckily we do see Shadow was paying attention, so we'll be able to just basically defend against that and make sure nothing too bad happens to him. But MaSsan does get a full scatter, sees the lair timing, sees the gas timings. all pretty nice. That's what you want to try and establish as a Zerg in a ZvZ, is when your opponent's taking gas, because it gives you a good indicator of whether they're going for, say, things like Mutalisks, whether they're going for, say, things such as Hydras. And because these two gas, I don't know if they were taken, actually. If I take a quick look at MaSsan ZvZ, no, he hasn't seen any of these gases, so all he actually knew was one gas was down and the lair was coming, which may make him think that it's not going to be Mutalisks. MaSsan's lair, a couple of seconds behind that, but not by a huge margin. He's going to try and secure up this third, but Speedlings may have something to say about that, trying to pick off that drone. The drone almost certain to die now, unfortunately, and that means another one will get pulled for MaSsan, but still reveals the fact that the third was attempting to get taken, because why'd there be a drone down there unless it was making a third base? The answer is there wouldn't, unless it was a massive mind game, which I'd always hope that most things I see in a cast are just massive mind games, because it usually leads to exciting things happening. Oh, good control there by MaSsan. Pulling back as a Baneling, got a little bit close. We've got, of course, the third base on its way down as well here for Shadow. Both these two being so passive. They've lost 100 resources each, so that's nothing, really. 8 minutes into the game, when you're both sitting there with over 1,000 minerals a minute, it's like a tenth of a minute and you've got that money back. So nothing to really write home about, nothing to cry about, nothing to be like, I've lost the game because of this as of yet. But I'd still say, all in all, Shadow with a small worker lead is quite nice. The fact he's getting the spy down is quite interesting, but did it just get... Oh my goodness, it got scouted by MaSsan. That's Speedling running in there. Such a hero. Zach the Zergling, just seeing everything that's going on. Also, Shadow may force a cancel here. He's got a lot more Zerglings. No Banelings here for MaSsan at the moment. And yeah, this is definitely going to get cancelled. There's just so many units there, and that's great news, because of course now Shadow hugely ahead in terms of the timing of his third. He can even just waltz out of here and just be like, well, you can't do anything about it. MaSsan getting the infestation pit though. What is in store there? Shadow's still just trying to be the aggressor, causing 25 more resources worth of damage, but far more than that isn't actually written on the UI, because this hatch going down means that this base will be mining longer. It means there'll be more drones, more production, and that's going to put Shadow quite nicely ahead, even though he's only 2 workers in the lead for the time being. A lot more Zerglings as well as pathogen glands on their way. But the Spire, oh my goodness, the Spire, oh no, it was in the main. Never mind, I thought the Spire was cancelled, even though there's 9 Mutalisks in production, because sometimes I can be a bit of a noob. But this is the 8th game I've cast tonight, because I'm actually moving halfway across the country. Probably, I'm in the process of it when this video is released, so that's why things are pretty crazy. And it's also why I can start streaming on the 23rd, which makes me really excited. That's the 23rd of September, 2013, for anyone watching from the future. Hi. The past was awesome. But yeah, we do see now that, of course, Baneling's just doing a nice little bit of damage. Zergling's still sitting around here. Notice that the Mutalisk just going to pick off a couple of Overlords. It does reveal that they're there. Already Spore Coolers are down. 2 at the main, 2 of the natural, none of the third as of yet, just 1 sitting down here, but the third potentially could be forced to cancel, especially if those mutas arched around and started attacking it. Could be very beneficial if it was able to be achieved. Remember though that the infestors are starting to hit the ground. 2 already out, they're ready to get some pro-fungal growths, but MaSsan, he's still contending against the fact that he's slightly down in terms of the worker count, but also his third has been gone for quite a while. And if we take a look at how that affects the income, Shadow just consistently ahead, specifically in the gas income, and that's going to allow him to get so many more Mutalisks out, but the infestors are still there. Got to be careful, doesn't want to get a fungal growth here, but that's why the spreads are coming. The infestors nearly go down, just surviving. A couple more Mutalisks definitely would have got that out very easy. Drones are still getting killed. Great spreading on the Mutalisks, just making sure to stay out of range of that Spore Cooler. That's the important thing. Drones are getting taken down. Spore Coolers still taking a decent amount of damage, still trying to spread these Mutalisks. Got to be so careful when there are infestors there. 1 good fungal growth could really ruin Shadow's day, especially when he's doing so well. But Speedlings now making their way forward. They're going to try and pick off that Spore Cooler as fast as possible. Great split on those Mutalisks. The infestors taking a lot of damage. All 3 go down. 1 fungal growth was able to get achieved. The Spore Cooler dealing a nice amount of damage to Zerglings, fighting Zerglings rather, of course, than fighting that staggered defense. Another great hit on those infestors, but more on their way forward. Unfortunately, MaSsan not casting fungal growth until now, loses so many infestors for pretty much nothing. Painful to see. The Mutalisks, got to be careful though, are going to die to that Spore Cooler. It deals so much damage to them. We see MaSsan though losing 1,100 more resources than that of his opponent, and now with a quick attack on that Spore Cooler, it looks like MaSsan is going to be losing down. The third base suddenly looking in trouble once more. This could be disastrous for MaSsan. He's taking so much damage here, and if this third goes down, it never really got mining in the first place, and that means Shadow would be so far ahead. Does pick off another Infestor too. The gas loss is just tremendous at the moment, and all the while, the Mutalists still just running rampant everywhere they could want. The third base now down, no sign of a counterattack. 21 workers killed compared to 0. MaSsan in a terrible, terrible position, and I don't know what he can do to get back from this because his gas is just completely starved. He's trying to get some more Infestors, but he's just running roaches and zerglings at his opponent for the time being, and trying desperately to get that third back up. But Shadow, he's got 18 roaches on the way. He knows that things are looking good. 21 roaches now in production, ready to cover, storming across this map and just deal as much damage as possible. More spores getting made. It's 18 roaches against 1 zergling and 2 infestors. And of course that Spine. That Spine is going to have to pull off absolute miracles. It's going to have to be like a stalker ex-girlfriend on Facebook poking you so much to have any chance of being able to take out all of these roaches. And I just don't see that happening. And MaSsan now is going to have something not shy of a miracle in order to defend this. Can he squeeze out enough? He's getting more infestors, but he's got no support for them. That's my concern. The infestors can fungal growth all day, but he's going to have to kill the entire army with fungal growths if he wants anything to happen. But MaSsan knows he needs to try and squeeze a couple more drones. Unfortunately, he has no vision because the overlords were taken out by the Mutalists early on. And yeah, the second the roaches come in, well played from MaSsan, and Shadow will take the game with just some really great control. So if you enjoyed that cast, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. I get new games up every day of the week, so you don't want to miss any. And of course, check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Madals, and that is where I'm going to be streaming come the 23rd of September 2013. So make sure you check that out. Not just StarCraft, loads of games. All the games are good. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'm Madals, and bye for now.